Right, we're back. To the siren song of organ music. Or well, maybe not organ music. Orchestral music. There. Had my terms mixed up for a moment there. Oh hey, those are fossil beds. Okay. That requires a tick set. Prime timber. Obviously. Oh, you're right. This. I had forgotten about this. Right, the coastal raiders from the barbarians. Those nuisances. And half the reason why I tend not to develop naval infrastructure. Sea infrastructure. It doesn't have it doesn't actually have that much to do with the Navy. It has to do with supplying my cities with resources and reasonable tiles to work with. Even if they mostly just produce food. Get just far away enough so that the worker can actually do its job without constantly needing prompting from me. Which gets annoying fairly quickly. Arboretum. Can't believe that hasn't been built yet. Although, in essence, there's probably no reason for it. Get those camps set up, and a horse trainer. Gondor. Not interested. Still not in my city influence. I don't plan on building a tar gatherer in the tile. There's not enough good reasons to, really. I need to ensure that the game hunter can handle any barbs that may or may not run into, so I'm going to keep stacking the sophistication until it is no longer needed. Oh, it lacks a road. Okay. Someday, Neonesia will be exactly as safe as Mononesia. Entirely under my control, and no barbarians to speak of. Okay, that needs to replace that. Needs to be replaced. It's absolutely in my city influence. That's another prime timber spot to handle. No, I think that's everything routed up. Not in city influence, so I can't touch that. Insofar as improvements are concerned. beyond the plain, simple road. Or fortifications. Is there a young forest? No, that's not a young forest. That one's grown up. Stop the road. I'm surprised it hasn't started working the tile, though it may need a minute. Maybe it just wants to grow first. It is 13 production. Well, a lot of production in the tile, so. Yeah, it's definitely more than 13. What was I thinking? Road signs, lyceum, rendering plant, antique shop, ornithopter aerie, butchery. I might as well build that first, because the plus 15 food is worth more than any single food tile can provide. Got some sand. Ooh, if I'm missing the tax person, I definitely need to build system. Market scales, locksmith, harbor master's office, and officium, and also courthouse. That should keep crime under control. Yeah, let's get a burial tradition and a water trough. Guttery. That should also work for the disease. Lumber mill. Still a young forest. Plus 10 per production shaft line. I may need to actually replace that. I've probably moved from the tile. Yeah. Okay, deal with this reef as well, and then more further down. It just makes sense. Reefs are pretty consistently the best thing to invest into sea infrastructure wise. For multiple reasons. Oh, jeez. Fast galleon? Okay, the carpenter's been destroyed. Great. Because the carpenter gives me plus 15% production. Just 10 production. In fact, I think I need to do the workhouse sooner rather than later. Yeah, considering efficiency. The farm comes before that. What's the other cap? Just efficiency. Of course a walrus enclosure. It's pretty obvious that that's an improvement. Regular mine is questionable. An actual shaft mine, though, the 4 production is worth the commerce reduction. It absolutely is. Anything here? Nope. Ceaseless. Hangaroa. Of course it doesn't have much to build. That it needs to build. Honestly, a fur farm's not the hardest thing to get, so considering the quantity of things that can build it, and it's also 10 turns to construct. So excuse me if I put it off for a while. Sure, why not? The Art of War. Also something better. Free scientist? Nah. Louvre is nice, but it's expensive. So I'm gonna put it off for a while. Crossovers. There it is, Isaac's College. That's also pretty expensive. A lot of wonders I could build. But yeah, that one's only 10 turns. And it gets me even better great general emergence. So sadly, it's out of range. As in, I cannot actually reach this distance, so. Gah, not having sentry is a little painful. There's only one view range is not great, to put it simply. Dratno Mountain, so I might as well build these two. I can eventually get a free mathematics academy. Don't mind the fact that I still haven't built any of the requirements. And I can still get those enclosures via hunting. It's just going to take some time. Don't worry about it though. I'll get to it. Eventually. Oops.
Political power grows out of the barrel of a gun.
Yeah, the older I get, the more this rings true to me. Nah. I'll stick with Confederacy, thank you very much. More trade routes per city is very, very nice. Random source of kangaroo. Oh, there! Privateer. And destroyed. Do you have March? No, you have Firearms 3. In order to deal with the wooden ships. Right, you were there. You were literally constructed to deal with those. The ones that plague my coastline.
मुझे बताएं क्या करना है आपका आर्डर आपकी सेवा में आपका आर्डर कार्यवाही के लिए तैयार हैं
Oh, Tycho Brahe. Brahe. Maybe. Annoying quicksand event. Woo. Yeah, let's get Kariba Academy. Right, take a turn to heal. Lyceum, rendering plant, antique shop, because I just do not trust trade route values. I just get the feeling that they're not actually telling me what to expect. Okay, at least the city has an observatory, so school, university, observatory, steelmaker, potter's workshop, arboretum. Probably should build the arboretum first. It doesn't really matter. Butchery first. You also get some more simple stuff out with crime, disease, burial tradition, bathing ritual, childcare, water trough, laundryette, sweat lodge. These are all reasonably cheap constructions. Focus on the cheap stuff. Well, focus on production first, then science. And preferably in order of efficiency, if at all possible. That minimizes the amount of time necessary to get a well-functioning city that can support my efforts, and I can pivot focus to something different. Wait until the ancient customs are done. Also something you can help with. Well, how good is going to be a problem long term, so I may as well work to deal with it now. Yet another example of cities obviously. Yeah. Everly, I'm just not going to have any way of knowing. Info screen graph. Yeah, there's no way for me to know who ceased to exist on this continent. Not without finishing the game, at least. At game end, I will know. Beforehand, not really. At least not without doing some finicky stuff that I'm not sure if it's really 100% necessary to do. I might end up doing it still regardless, but my god, what do I need to do in order to get those ships to stop? Okay. Let me set up a production queue. Tannery is extremely important. It's +7 production for 4 turns. That's stupendous. The engineering school is 11 and 24 turns. The prime timber camp's better. I shouldn't build the stone toolmaker because antique shop will replace it. Foundry is only +4. Well, actually, that's a +10%. If I want a +15, it's +6 from the guild hall, which describes how much the surveyor's office will actually provide me, which is nothing compared to the engineering school. There, that's about half the production cost of the tannery, which will have the number of turns needed to build it. Probably. Oops, that was a fast turn. Forest, that needs to be replaced. Ah, lovely. Do you actually need leadership? No, you really don't. But I can upgrade you to Big Game Hunter. Thanks to Rob. Okay, you're gonna need to rest after this, so... Put that one off for as long as I can manage. I am not sure if I want... I don't need mushrooms. That's a young forest too, so... There really isn't enough of a point to actually building anything on this tile. Why did I move to it? Yeah, for now there's nothing I can do here. The tiles are all that I want to improve are all outside of influence range. Just don't have any good with them, So, head over to here. Yeah, that tower's still not accessible. Yeah, just proof roads. Nope, can't actually access the natural gas, and I think it's going to be a while before I can. Yeah, I need the actual refining technology. Technically, I could gather oil right now with a tar gatherer, but yeah. A tar gatherer is not a good building. By any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, the turns are inconsistent in how long they take. Sea Hunter. If I can get Blitz, that would be very, very helpful.
Learn to ignore these arguments. They're the stock in trade of snake oil salesmen. When you don't have real evidence, it's easy to find a version of your pet theory in some old book. Chinese sages with long beards, wise old women prescribing natural folk remedies. These are characters from fairy tales, not trustworthy sources of medical information.
Yep. I know nothing about the source itself, but based upon that first bit, the gluten. Gluten's actually perfectly fine and a normal part of food. For most people, anyway. Simply put, there are a group of people that cannot actually handle gluten. Which is actually kind of sad, because gluten is rather tasty in a lot of breads. Perform? Oh. Oops. Yeah, I don't think these monkeys can actually build fur farms. Nope. Okay. Would be surprised if it could. There's a bear there, but bears are not dangerous. Not anymore. I've outgrown the point of those being scary a long time ago. As long as I'm not wandering around with just a worker. Then it could potentially get dicey. But accepting that, yeah. Okay. Suva also needs one. Workhouse, and then Ratcatcher, Antique Shop. The antique shop is actually really good for getting a lot of extra cash. Science. Arboretum, of course. A biology lab. Paleontology lab. Post office. Publisher. I'm gonna save anything further for later. Yeah, fact of the matter is I'm currently in the constant expansion phase, which generally means I produce so much science at a rapidly increasing pace because of all the new cities that not even my capital can actually manage to keep up. For lack of a better way to put it. Yeah, let's keep giving you sophistication. That tends to work well, especially when part of your job is, well, dealing with any barbs that get in the way of that land. If they're easy to deal with. If not, then I'll build a unit that can actually manage to deal with it. No. Just to double check, none of the cities require any birds, right? Nope. They all do kind of require the dance, but that's not actually important in any way. Yeah, I don't really have anything to talk about except for maybe the gluten thing. Yeah, gluten is kind of important for the flavor of a lot of things. Usually breads. And it's just yet another sugar, a carbohydrate. It has a particular taste to it, just like any other carbohydrate. Because it reacts slightly differently to the taste buds in our tongue. Such is true of, well, any sugar. Anything that comes into contact with our tongue has a particular taste to it. Sometimes it's similar to other things, sometimes it isn't. A lot of it is kind of dependent on how things are. Random chance and all that. Look, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be able to eat metal. That, you know, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to eat metal, and yet metal does have a specific taste to it. Let's see here. Tea house. Okay. Yeah, I can save that for another time. These cultural things are all meh. I guess I can do the portrait painter in the art gallery. Ooh, artist colony. I'll take that. I guess Naval Academy. Beyond that, I don't really see a point to much of this. So let me just get that Kerala School of Mathematics out of the way. Before I actually genuinely forget to build it. I have merely been putting it off for a while. So... yeah, gluten is honestly just yet another sugar. The normal person honestly has nothing to worry about from it. Of course, there are differences between people, but that's part of the point. Some people cannot handle gluten. It is quite saddening that this is the case. Because gluten tastes great, and in a way it's kind of like a milk allergy. It's kind of saddening that they can't really enjoy ice cream, at least not without, you know, a medication that allows them to do so. How did you sneak past me? Where are they even coming from? Yeah. Otherwise, it's just yet another sugar that has its own health positives and negatives when being eaten. Just like regular old cane sugar that everyone knows about. Glucose, that's literally everywhere and hard to avoid. Fructose, which is in practically every fruit. There's a reason why it's called fructose. Okay, every city on Byzantium has that, so I don't need to worry about the fur farms anymore from there. Oh! Let me just give you City Raider 4. You know what, just heal. You, however, do need a fur farm. God, stop moving. Just imagining animal fights with a dog. Because you can't actually set it up, apparently. Anyway, yeah. Just because something is glucose-free does not mean it's good for you. Or that it's bad for you.
After us, they'll fly in hot air balloons. Coat styles will change. Perhaps they'll discover a sixth sense and cultivate it. But life will remain the same. A hard life full of secrets, but happy. And 1,000 years from now, man will still be sighing. Oh, life is so hard. And will still, like now, be afraid of death and not want to die.
Some things remain the same, some things change. It's just how the world is. But yeah, I think I keep going to the glucose thing and back. Some people just happen to have an allergic reaction to it, just like how some people have an allergic reaction to peanuts. It is very saddening that that happens, but that does not mean that you should go around eating the products made for them. In fact, that's probably better just to ensure that they have enough. So, you know, it'd probably be actually better not to eat those. And leave them for the people that actually need it. I mean, sure, if you prefer the taste over it, sure, go ahead. But purchasing it just because you think it's healthier should not be a reason to actually buy the gluten-free stuff. It exists for a reason, yes, and that's because certain people cannot actually handle gluten in their digestive system. Just making sure that Reef still had a lighthouse. Lighthouses are safe. No members of the AI. I've never seen anyone in the AI actually pillage a lighthouse from a reef. I'm not sure if it's even possible. Probably. But it wouldn't make sense for it not to be possible to do so. Because, you know, options. I'll spell that first. And the rest of the signs can wait a little while as I get that set up. Okay. Especially with how expensive these buildings are. Well, I say expensive. The funny thing is that it only is expensive because of the time cost, and the time cost actually isn't that high outside of this game speed. And the stuff that's 1 turn or 2 turns is ludicrously fast under any normal consideration. Oh yeah, don't build the Coliseum. Did I build a Coliseum here? I don't remember. Oh, actually, it should give me the lower. Yeah, okay. There. That should handle Goth for a while. Although, admittedly, the next set of techs are not going to unlock many buildings. It's because you're standing next to a gorilla, isn't it? That you keep asking. Okay, sit there for a while. better build a workshop. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't need you anywhere. You, however, are here to build a fur farm. Get me that science and culture, please. I'm almost on 60,000 science per turn. Constitution's taking like 10 turns. Burritum. Get these traps and nets in. Surprisingly little to build here. Oh yeah, chain bridge. Paleontology lab, and then these labs, betting zoo, archaeology, geology center. The entomology lab can wait quite a bit of time. Retreat it. Just sit there dealing with barbarian units until the tiles that were placed into barbarian city influence by the fort stay in the fort. It is kind of funny that the fur farm is actually one of the most expensive buildings I can build right now. Let me pick a city. Yeah, here it is. Turn that off. 14 turns. It is by far the most expensive regular building possible. Which is genuinely impressive. Because that is not an easy thing to achieve. Being that hilariously expensive. There is oil up there and it's being worked, but doesn't improve until it's necessary. Yeah, okay, that confirms it. Doctor. Probably should have done that earlier, but... Oh, did someone attack me? Silly, silly. Yeah, I mean, I understand not wanting to make a fur farm with skunks, but it should be doable. Yeah. It is really strange, though, that so many brands now advertise that they are gluten-free, and what's worse, they keep doing it because apparently it gets them more sales. Despite the sheer number of people that don't actually have a gluten allergy. And oh, the silliness. Sometimes it feels like the more you complain, the worse it gets. Put that baby back in, just in case. Don't need to build you. Do need to build these two, though. And this, and this, and this. Food-wise, we are... Actually, I don't need the typo scavenger. Maybe. I'll avoid building it as long as possible. Because you never know when fish-type resource comes in. On the other hand, you're right there, so... Fine. Fine. Beauty garden. Probably should have built that earlier, but... After a while, efficiency stops mattering as much. Or, well, that's what I tell myself in order to avoid dealing with it. Because I can only amass so much before I get tired of it. There's no such thing as a zone of control in Civ 4, so... Probably best if I just sat on the tile. Oh, correct, the griddle's moving. No, I shouldn't do the river port. It gets replaced by the river authority. I don't know why that's not buildable, though. Courthouse, okay. Butchery. Community garden. Fisherman's hut. Alright, time to build these things. There we go. The fortifications are gone. They would have to rebuild it in order to sit back up. Rebuild the theater. Thankfully, those are less expensive than foundries. At least in monetary costs, for whatever reason. Vanished. Oh my... Oh, it moved there, pillaged the tile, and then left. Now that's just downright. Ugh.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union,
Yep, time to start planting little forests everywhere. Art of War. Oh, the set of Nagaism. Yeah, crime's not a problem at all. Just can build some of the more basic stuff for money. Also, a water tower. Gambling hall and the gambling den are actually the exact same, so might as well build the cheaper one. What wonder should I build? I guess I can go for massive amounts of culture production from that wonder, since that does appear to be the purpose of it. Yeah, kind of disappointing. It was a tangent that I couldn't really make much out of. Yeah, dealing with Oguz all the way over here is going to be pain, isn't it? Okay, sex production. Because the engineering school got built. Yep, okay. Right. Sex production for the surveyor's office. So 3 turns per production is fine. Okay. Um, that's about 4, I guess. Yeah, 4 is fine. Okay. Crane. The apprentice workshop. Guild hall. 4. Yeah, okay. Right. Then things get a little more complex. Canoe builder is okay. Faster than the stone. Bronzesmith, the sheep farm I'd say is close enough to work. Then iron's 13. Okay. Keep going until 18. More for the fact of the carriage builder. Okay, 14 then. Actual plus 3. Oh. Because there's actually prime timber in the vicinity of the city. There, and then carriage builder. The automaton clock is plus 2 production. Because the foundry is plus 4. Okay, so now the clockwork shop. Workshop requires a city size of 7, which is a ways away. Oh! I forgot about the workhouse! Just build it there and then. Foundry is still plus 4, so it's still better than the steel smelters, okay. At that point I really should go back and do some of these. And I skipped the grove, timber grove, completely. Joy. Manufacture. Antique shop, probably should have done that earlier. Well, that was kind of awful. Inefficiency. Okay, let's get that slaughterhouse and handle the... Okay, might as well get that. I don't need the efficient, but I can wait on that one. There. I think I'll go for Mine Warfare and then call it. Although that depends. Does Mine Warfare have anything interesting to it? I don't know. I don't think I can actually add anything onto that. It's pretty simple but effective on the quote. I don't like landmines. If you absolutely must use them in order for defense, sure. But be sure to keep track of where all the landmines are placed. Assuming the mines don't end up moving for one reason or another. I don't know. I guess that can happen. But make sure to keep careful track of where landmines are through extensive records in multiple locations. Literally, keep backups. Landmines are incredibly dangerous. And honestly, pretty awful. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Well, okay. Alright, capital, I need a musket man. Those are the things it can currently build. Either way, it's going to need the mining camp. God, this is literally other side of the world for me. From Honolulu. Maybe not 100%. That would perhaps be around here. Okay, we're at 142 degrees west, so that would be 38 degrees east for other side of the world. Literally spot on, opposite side of the world. I wasn't expecting it to be that accurate. Just wait a bit. Just stay there for the time being. I'll have you handle more down the line. But definitely keep careful track of where the landmines are. Do not lose this information. And make sure that once warfare is over, if you can't clean up the mines, please make it publicly available and easily accessible knowledge of where those landmines are. We do not need... We really do not need stories of people, often children, running around in what was supposedly an empty field, and then losing limbs, if not worse. Landmines are awful, awful things. As is to be expected by explosive trap that is triggered by something walking above them. Of course it's going to be an awful weapon. What else would it end up being? It's only 2 turns. I can eat the cost pretty easily. Now, am I missing... Okay, so what am I missing for this? Okay, so I do have the tattooer, so I do need the blood dance. Alright, entertainer. Let's get the temples out of the way. And those things too. Just avoid the plaza. It's not a very great building. It's not a very valuable building, I should say. It is weird how cheap the paleontology lab is compared to the other labs. That might just be the realistic building thing. Building costs for game or all that. Might be that some buildings don't have that properly set up. I don't know. There's no way to really 100% know. I don't know if I have the toy maker. Definitely don't have the music factory though. Or the mall. Or the metals megaplex. Glaze maker. Cigarette pier. I don't know why that hasn't been built yet. Considering how much the city's already using the water tiles, would be a great boon. Thompson's Gazelle. Oh, I can build a camp there? Sure. Let's get that blood dance set up. Never mind. Give us a 3. Make your way over to there. I just hope I remember why I built that unit next time. Though I should. It shouldn't be too long. And I was able to get back into the swing of things pretty easily, considering it's been, for me, a few days.
Landmines are among the most barbaric weapons of war.
Because they continue to kill and maim innocent people long after the war itself has ended. Also, fear of them keeps people off the land and thus prevents them from growing food. Or you're not using the land for other things. Or perhaps even keeping it well. I mean, keeping it wild is not a bad idea, although I would hate for any animals to trip off those landmines too. Landmines are just awful. Awful, awful things. And unless I want to get religious tech, no, I can't actually avoid. Economics, parts. Alright, time to go for military tradition. Obsoletes affect tradition archery. Alright, and then Grand War. Off to the Industrial Age. Of course, considering the pace at which I'm getting tax. Try to check to see if there's anything I want to get rid of in here. Okay. Because I don't actually need the traps. They aren't necessary. Plain and simple. Okay, let's call it here. As I can kind of probably guess from up here, it's a bit late in the day, so yeah. I'd say with my tech tree progress, there's not many episodes left in Renaissance. Although, how many techs have been researched? Now that I think about it, it's only been a few techs, and it will consistently be that way, probably. So, there's maybe 3 episodes, it depends. And I'm not sure what to count as Renaissance. If it starts as Renaissance and then ends as just, well, then again, I've been counting them as Renaissance episodes anyway. At least I would be. At the very least, I did that for prehistory, and I almost certainly would do the same for ancient. It just makes sense. And I guess it's a mild spoiler. Well, maybe it won't be. But either way, I set it up so that the last episode that takes place within an era, that transitions to the next era, will be, at least with titling concerned, be part of that previous era. The end screen will be of the new era, which is also why I'm going to be handling the classical drawing time-lapse tomorrow. Because I finished editing all the classical stuff. Well, it's not really editing, it's just tacking on the end screen at the end. I mean, I'm willing to edit M&T stuff. That'll also be part of the reason why I haven't done it in a while, but the editing process tends to be slow and difficult sometimes. Especially since I don't have the time. At the very least, I've explored pretty much everything important in the world, so on the planet. There's parts of this land that I don't know, but I don't see the point in needing to know this. Building up the engineering school, I see. Oh, you just unlocked it too. Congratulations. Just double checking. My cities are getting pretty built up to the point where I'm willing to have Hangaroa and Honolulu constantly building wonders. In between building, well, some of the remaining leftover buildings. Last of the ones left just provide money, culture, or crime reduction at the cost of money, for example. And, well, it's not really necessary for me to produce a lot of espionage. I get enough of it from other buildings anyway. Honestly, the focus right now is, in most cities, is building up science production. A lot of cities don't have the latest and greatest in science production. Although, the process of building it has... Yeah, since I have obtained the scientific method, my science production has more than doubled. I'm on 60,000 per turn. Culture has also jumped too by at least 50% since then. Though it's not the brutal level of 150% that science has pushed itself through since then. But the numbers should only keep rising, especially as I'm dealing with the barbarians on this continent and slowly, admittedly extremely slowly, starting to fill this stuff in. I have not built a settler this session, and I really should start building more of those. I have the finances to cover the costs easily. I have plenty of money sources to work with. I can handle this sort of a thing. No problem at all. And cities are really only a net cost for, okay, maybe for a few hundred, maybe for 1,000 turns. Okay, maybe not 1,000 turns, but for a few hundred turns. But as they start building up, so Winnow is one of the newer cities, and look, 500 already. Atafu is, yeah, it's producing more money than it costs. And it still hasn't finished going through a lot. It barely has done anything in food, just the butchery. And maybe the community garden? Yeah. It's literally just the science buildings. And those are oftentimes pretty close to enough. Especially when production does its thing. Of course, to some extent, maintenance costs are due to distance from the nearest capital. I'll probably build another second capital type wonder over along here. Maybe in Caves. Because there are more of those that exist. I'm trying to find one. Can't remember if it's built. There it is, Versailles. Reduces maintenance in nearby cities. It's another one of those second capital types. Although, there's a lot more of those here than there are in the base game of Civ. Vanilla Civ? I don't know whether or not to call something base game or vanilla because expansions exist. But there was only one, the Forbidden Palace Wonder, which resets the maintenance cost to distance for nearby cities and focuses it on that city specifically. Anyway, I've easily gone on long enough. I'll see you again next time. Until then, bye.